Speak to Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. Nigel, welcome. Great speech earlier today. But you're currently the bookies' favourite now to be Prime Minister. Do you believe that Reform UK could actually win the next general election?
Well, if you take our general election score on July the 4th, we're 50% up from that. If we do the same again, we will win the next election. It is not impossible.
Now, a lot of people are saying, because Tommy Robinson, you know, he's a very vocal character on X, they're saying, why won't you allow Tommy Robinson to join Reform UK or let him join the party and be a more prominent role there?
Look, we are a political party that's on the up. We've just gone through 170,000 members. We put in place a rigorous vetting procedure for our candidates, not just for general elections, but for local elections as well, recognising our failings from the last general election. And, you know, Tommy Robinson does his own campaigns. You know, he's been in prison numerous times. And by the way, for those of you at home who think he's in prison now for exposing grooming gangs, he's not. He's in prison for contempt of court for the third time. He raises a lot of money off the back of all these appeals that he has for legal challenges. He can do his own thing. We're doing ours. I've made it very, very clear for many, many years I didn't want to have anything to do with him, and that position hasn't changed.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about Elon Musk donating to the party. Is he likely to be donating something? Do you know whether he's donating any money to Reform UK?
Well, look, I mean, don't believe what the Sunday Times say, that he's considering a $100 million donation. That is for the birds. Could he possibly be a donor to the party? Yes. Is he supportive of the party? Absolutely. Does he support me personally? No question about that. If he does donate money, he'll have to do it legally through a UK company. But I'll tell you something. Whether he donates money to us or not, he makes us, with a young generation of people who view him as a hero figure, he makes us look cool. And I'll tell you what, there isn't much of that around in British politics these days. No,
that's quite true. But he's also kind of expressed support for Tommy Robinson, hasn't he? Which is that worrying to you? You've met Elon Musk, you and Donald Trump. You're all sort of quite close in terms of your political leanings. Is that worrying that Elon is now almost seemingly to support Tommy Robinson?
Do you know, a lot of my American friends, including a very senior senator from Utah, Mike Lee, a lot of them think that Robinson's in prison because he exposed grooming gangs. And they're suffering under a misconception. That's because of the videos and documentaries that Mr. Robinson puts out himself. Look, you know what? You know, Elon Musk and I will have different views on electric vehicles, on many, many things. Free speech is about agreeing to disagree, but equally knowing what you agree on. I'm not in the least bit concerned about what Elon Musk says about Tommy Robinson. I will, at the inauguration, explain to him that perhaps things aren't quite as they look.
Now, last night, MP Marco Long, he defected to Reform UK. Are there any murmurings that any more MPs, maybe Tory, even Labour, might be coming over soon as well?
If other MPs or ex-MPs want to join Reform, that's great. But please don't bring your poison with you. You know, if we're going to import people into our party who want to spend their lives infighting, as so many Conservatives have done for the last 5 years, then we're not in the least bit interested. We've got our own momentum. We're attracting great people across a huge range of backgrounds. So, yes, happy to have people coming on board, but only if they fully commit to doing something that is united and will change the country for the good.
Now, today marks about 6 months for Sir Keir Starmer being in government. How do you rate his first 6 months, Nigel?
Catastrophic. I've never seen, and I've studied politics for over 50 years, I've never seen a government do so badly in a 6-month period. I mean, even the last 6 months of John Major weren't as bad as the first 6 months of Keir Starmer. They're doing terribly. The British economy is doing terribly. Confidence is down. Sterling's falling on the exchanges. 10-year interest rates are much higher than current rates. Inflation's going back up. And huge numbers of people in business are saying, you know what? maybe we should just leave the country and go somewhere else. We are increasing the size of the public sector, despite its lack of productivity. In fact, it's falling productivity. We're decreasing the size of the private sector. We're doing exactly the opposite to what Scott Bessent, the incoming Treasury Secretary in America, wants to do there. We are getting this wrong, badly, badly wrong. And when it comes to the grooming mass rape scandal, which GB News' Charlie Peters has done so much to expose, frankly, I think both the Labour and Conservative parties come out of this terribly, because they've both denied us the full, open public inquiry that I think this country deserves.
A lot of people would say that we've already had one inquiry. What the things that were asked to be implemented for that inquiry have not been implemented, and now yet another inquiry. Nothing will get done. If we just keep having this conversation, lessons will be learned. Nothing ever gets done. So why will this inquiry be any different?
A full, open public inquiry, live streamed, covered properly by mainstream media, at which we actually attempt to find out who covered this up. Who was it in the police force that covered this up? Who was it in social services that covered this up? Who was it in government, perhaps, who in maybe previous legal careers did their best to cover this up? We deserve the truth. This is, I mean, honestly, one of the most shameful episodes in the entire history of our nation. And what we've had is years of it being drip-fed out with minor little inquiries here or there. Let's do the job properly. Let's examine what both Labour and the Conservative parties have done to the social structures in this country through irresponsible policies of mass immigration without integration.
And your ticker, 170,000 members, excellent work. But Kemi Badenoch has been instrumental in getting you a couple of 20,000 or so from her comments. Are you going to do anything more than the event that you're going to have on the 31st? Will you take that any further?
Well, I was considering legal action against Kemi Badenoch for slander, having accused me of being a fraudster, but to sue, you have to prove actual harm. I think so ludicrous were her crackpot conspiracy theories that she's added several thousand to our membership, I wouldn't win the case. Yeah,
well, you've certainly not... she certainly hasn't done you any damage at all. Well, Nigel, thank you very much for talking to us. That is Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. 46 minutes after 4 o'clock, joining me, political commentator Lynn May and CEO of the Youth Vote, Alex Cairns. Alex, you heard what Nigel said? Your thoughts on what he's saying? I mean, you know, making valid points.
Well, firstly, I think it's good that he's saying that he doesn't always going to agree with Elon Musk, because it seems like those two are, you know, very close friends. So it's good that actually I think everyone can agree Tommy Robinson. I don't necessarily think that's going to actually benefit him. What's interesting, though, is I think there's going to be a portion of Reform voters that very much like Tommy Robinson. So we are going to start to see some splits. If some, I guess, more moderate Tory or ex-Tory MPs come over, it's interesting he's talked about don't bring the poison with them. That's interesting because, again, if he wants him to be a broad church, he can't be narrow-minded and think that people that have different views won't join. But actually, it's going to be interesting because I can see them having a situation where he's going to have to really bring the, I guess, the more moderates and the more hardline rights together. And that's going to be tough for him, you know?
You think,
I disagree. I think him distancing himself from Tommy Robinson and taking an ardent approach when questioned on Elon's comments, saying, you know, which he's absolutely right. I absolutely love some of the things that Elon Musk says. It doesn't mean I have to agree with everything. And it's good that he said that because it brings us to a mature place that we can see some people's opinions and say, actually, I don't agree with that part. And what that will do is it will attract more people from ethnic minorities that thought he did actually like Tommy Robinson and think, hang on a minute, Nigel Farage and Reform are a bit more measured. So if we're going to get rid of the people because they like Tommy Robinson, then I think that's a good thing, because I don't think he's the best character to be aligned with, if I'm honest.
All right.